Hello, everybody, and welcome to Money in the Bank review. It was a late night. I work on Saturday nights, so I don't get home until 10, 11, and I have to wait till midnight before the replay comes on. So it was a long night last night, so we're drinking a little Logan Paul Prime. On the show today, I'm going to give you my match of the night, wrestler of the night. I'll give you my rankings of how I thought about all these matches. Leading off the show, don't forget to hit thumbs up, like, follow, subscribe, and try to grow the channel. Much obliged. Thank you very much. We had the men's Money in the Bank ladder match. I thought the women would lead off the show. We'll get the men a little bit later. But it made sense. The men leading off with everything that happened kind of, maybe you could argue, gave it away just a little bit in what was going to happen. Drew said he was going to win, said he was going to cash in, and we all knew CM Punk would get involved and screw him out of the world title for the third time. I just didn't like the way. I love this pay-per-view. I love the Money in the Bank overall. Fourth favorite pay-per-view. I know I still call them pay-per-views. PLEs. Fourth favorite PLE behind WrestleMania, Royal Rumble, and SummerSlam. So I love Money in the Bank. And overall, I love this show. And I thought the men's ladder match as a whole was pretty darn solid. Thought Carmelo Hayes has not been that great since he's been called up. Well, I think he shined in this matchup. That Spanish fly that him and Andrade hit. Some other solid moves. He did a nice job in this matchup. LA Knight, Jey Uso, same. You know, they did a great job. Everybody involved, pretty darn solid. I was surprised. I really was that they let Drew win this thing. It just seems like they wasted Money in the Bank, though. I get it. It puts a whole hell of a lot of heat now. I guess people cheering for CM Punk, but screwing Drew out of it for the third time, I mean, you know, that's going really far. Having him cash in and lose, especially on the same night, like that will absolutely 1,000% build their rivalry to the next level. But now I think Seth Rollins, maybe that's why they did this thing. It's because Seth Rollins kind of collateral damage in all of this, and he was the first one to speak up when CM Punk came back and did not like it. We were supposed to get them at WrestleMania. Now, obviously, they had the injury, so that didn't happen. I think we're going to see a triple threat now between Seth Rollins and Drew McIntyre and CM Punk at SummerSlam. So if that was to help set up the triple threat and to help build the hatred on Drew hating CM Punk even that much more, I totally get it. I think that it could have been just as effective, or at least close to as effective, if they would have done it where it looked like Drew was going to win Money in the Bank, everybody out of the ring, and like I said on the preview show, you see Drew just look down and it's CM Punk grabbing at his heels. I just felt like later in that when CM Punk got involved, it was just too predictable with the cash in, and then we all knew CM Punk, like as creative as they were with him being a referee and the different camera angles that they shot, it was just kind of a, oh, here he is. He's attacking Drew McIntyre. Like came out of nowhere in the ring. It just felt kind of, you know, par for the course, a little bit lame. Especially like I said, after as creative as they were, I thought that we were going to see them be even more creative here, but with the way they did it, I think it does help set up the triple threat. I'm just like, man, I just wish, I don't know. I like it when somebody carries around the Money in the Bank for a while, you know, and it feels like they're a champion as well, you know, because they got that briefcase. It elevates them to that next level when someone has the Money in the Bank briefcase, and now we're not going to get that because Drew cashed in and lost, and now we're below 80%. We're below 80% on men's cash-ins. Are they just going to have to start combining the men and the women together whenever they're talking about the men's, because you're below 80%. Like, remember it used to be 100% guarantee. Well, now it's only going to be like 70, 75. Like, that's still good odds, but I would have thought they would have liked to have kept it above 80% on the cash in. 4 out of 5 chance you're going to win this baby. You're going to win a title if you get Money in the Bank. But that didn't happen. I really think the only reason they did this, because it was like, yeah, if you give it to LA, they're not going to give it to LA Knight, because he's going to go at SummerSlam, win the U.S. title. So he already has something to do. Andrade, he's not gonna cash in and be a world champion. He would have just probably, if he would have won, he would have cashed in, probably lost later on. Carmelo Hayes, good as he is, he's not there yet either. I mean, the only other logical choice was Jey Uso. I think a lot of people thought Jey Uso was going to win this. So maybe that's me. I'm just big Jey Uso fan, so I'm a little disappointed that he didn't win. I would have liked to seen him carry around that briefcase, but I think the reason they didn't pull the trigger on him is because I think he's going to be involved when Roman comes back, everything with the bloodline, like that's going to be his main storyline. Like they got other stuff for him to do, so they didn't need to have him win this. And whatever plans they have for this whole year, it's like, okay, well, no, man, Jay, if we let you win this, I don't know when we'd give you the title. We don't want to have you have a failed cash in. I don't know when we'd give you the title if you're involved. We're going to get back involved with all this bloodline stuff. So, well, okay, no, let's just give it to Drew and have Punk screwing Drew out of it for a third time be really, really impactful. Because he didn't just screw him out of winning the Money in the Bank. He screwed him out of his cash-in, failed on the same night. And that will absolutely build heat, and I think build to a triple threat. So I didn't hate it. It was just wonky, man. It was just wonky with what happened with Damian Priest not kicking out right before the cash-in. And I'm going to tell you what I think happened there. I think Priest thought that Drew McIntyre's music was going to hit a little sooner. And if the ref's in the middle of the count, the ref would maybe get up from his count, stop his count because he's distracted by the music, and then look at Drew, and he'd have to wait because he's like, oh, shoot, I got to wait because he's coming to cash in, so I can't continue my count. But, man, Priest has got to, if you don't hear the music, like, man, oh, man, he's got to kick out there. It just looked absolutely terrible. At least the referee could have gave me the fake spot where he's sticking his fingers underneath to say, no, his shoulder was up. Like, it was just kind of like, oh, we screwed up, and we're not even going to acknowledge it, and we're just moving on with the rest of what is supposed to play out. And Damian Priest, after he ended up keeping his belt, they show a shot of him, and he's like, God dang it. Like, he looked like, I think he was mad because he screwed that up. And I think that's why he screwed it up. I really do. And I don't know, just a couple things here and there. Like, I want to love him. I love him. He's still going to be in my top 10, but he's dropped a few spots after that. That was a horrible botch, man. That was not good. Overlook it in the grand scheme of things in this entire pay-per-view because it was a very, very solid pay-per-view, but that was a little bit tough, and I don't know, man. It was just, I don't know. It just after that and just everything that happened, I don't know. I didn't want to see it. I didn't want to see it go down the way that it went down. But storyline wise, it does make sense. And give that opening match for the men's Money in the Bank a B+. And we're going to move on to the Intercontinental Championship matchup. Sami Zayn winning clean against Braun Breaker. I thought there was going to be interference, set up a Fatal 4. I don't know what they do now for the Intercontinental Championship. And as good as Breaker looks, was this the time for him to eat his first loss? He lost? Like, man, no. Book him, keep him undefeated, man. I know he looked great. I know people say, oh, well, he looked good in the loss and his time's going to come and yada, yada. I don't know. I would have, like I said, I have no idea what they're going to do for the Intercontinental Championship, but I would not have booked Braun Breaker to lose, especially lose clean in this to Sammy. Yes, does it make Sammy look that much stronger and really, I mean, he won the damn thing off Gunther in the first place, but as far as his own title run has gone since he's won the belt and made Sami Zayn look very good. He continues to play the underdog role so well. And like he said in the, he got interviewed afterwards, you know, it's like, when's people going to stop thinking, you know, that I'm the underdog in this? Like, how many times do I have to prove that I can do this? And I felt him. I feel him on that. But I don't know. To me, here, like, yeah, stories about Braun Breaker taking that loss. Well, it was his first loss. I believe it was. Absolutely. I would have kept him undefeated. I would have had the interference to set up the fatal four-way, but maybe they pivoted because Kaiser's hurt now. Ludwig Kaiser. Sorry, I have to do it every time. That one wasn't very good. Let me try again. Ludwig Kaiser. Since he's hurt now, maybe they pivoted away from that. Maybe that's the direction they went here. I was very surprised by it. It was a great match. I'm going to give it a B. Give it a B. Braun Breaker, you know, definitely looking strong. You know, he's had a couple. He had that match against Ilya that was very good. I mean, he can prove he can go more than 5 minutes and be more than just a squash. He's proven himself now on the main roster and in a pretty darn good match. Just didn't want to see him take the loss in that one. And my God, I'm glad that Braun caught Sami Zayn whenever he was trying to do that moonsault onto the floor. And Braun had to come up and catch him. Zayn would have landed on his damn head if he didn't catch him. He would have landed on his head. That was crazy, man. I think that was one from the barricade. But yeah, overall good match. And next we get John Cena. I know he didn't wrestle, but he's what a lot of people are talking about coming out of this PLE. So I'm going to say that John Cena is my wrestler of the night, announcing a retirement tour in 2025 where we are going to get him in like 30 or 40 dates. You can bet if they come close that I'm going to go see him in a match. Absolutely. One last time, one last ride, one last tour. I'd go see him. Hopefully I'll get the opportunity to do so, and it'll be very interesting. Him in the press conference, and man, that press conference, by the way they're doing it now to have an actual post show, and then you toss it back to the press conference, and you got some interviews and some analysis in between. It felt like the World Series, felt like the Super Bowl, NBA Finals, whatever you want to call it. It felt like that. And I loved every single second of it. Like the post show, so very entertaining. We see Drew come and get involved in the post show. Just I love the way they're doing that and the new setup that they got going on with the post presser. And John Cena just kept answering a million questions. My point there on getting sidetracked is what made me think of that was how somebody asked him in the press conference about, you know, does he go for 17 titles? So that'd be interesting to see if that's a story. I mean, does he get it? It's possible. It is absolutely possible that he gets number 17 on his way out. If I as a betting man, and sometimes like to bet still, but not a whole lot. But if I had to make a bet on this, I would say he doesn't get 17. He stays at 16. But I mean, as soon as they start building up that story, if that's going to be a story, like, you know, he's going to try to work his way up and get 17. He even talked about the Royal Rumble Elimination Chamber. Like, I think that's going to be a part of the story. And if it is, I'm like thinking about changing my mind here. I think it's 50-50 whether he gets it. I could see him getting number 17 at WrestleMania, having one last run, because he said he's not just going to stop at WrestleMania next year. He's going to go all the way through, all the way in 2025. John Cena retirement tour. Big, big, big news coming out of Money in the Bank, and therefore he is my wrestler of the night. Next up, we have Priest and Rollins at World Heavyweight Championship. Kind of already talked about that, just with Priest not getting his arms up and for the kick out. I mean, the match itself was probably B+ B match, but just with that botch at the end and with the predictability of CM Punk, and I don't know. I'm not going to give it a C+, even though I want to. You know what? I am going to give it a C+. That was a really bad botch by Priest not to get the shoulder up there. So, yeah. I didn't hate this match. I do think that, like I said, it'll set up that three-way. But, yep. Got to do a little bit better with that finish. Going to say C+. And it was very interesting, too, before that match, Finn Balor with a very suspicious look as Priest left the Judgment Day's clubhouse to make his way to the ring. That'll be interesting going forward. So Priest stays in the Judgment Day. Drew McIntyre loses his cash in. And Seth Rollins does not get another shot so long as Damian Priest is the champ. I mean, it was the right call, I think, to keep the belt on Priest, even though you could argue maybe they... Hell, should they... yeah, you can't pivot in the middle of it if you're going to set up the three-way, but man, Priest is good. As good as he is, he's still very, very young, and he makes some mistakes. He makes some mistakes. He had a couple screw-ups, none bigger than not getting that shoulder up, man. That was a glaring error, but overall, not bad. Going to give it a C+. Match of the night, going Women's Money in the Bank. I said afterwards, I was like, I felt very entertained by it. I was like, might this be? Was that the greatest women's Money in the Bank ladder match of all time? I think if it wouldn't have got off to a kind of a bad start, I could argue easily yes. But now I'm not so sure because it did start off with some botches. Lyra Valkyrie didn't look very good early on. She turned it around a little bit later, but just seemed out of sequence, and it was a weird start. But once they got it going, boy, did they get it going. And man, oh man, was that crowd behind Chelsea Green. I know it was in Canada, but just overall, the crowd's getting pretty behind Chelsea Green. And what a hell of a false finish. She's got the dang thing unhooked. And then we see Tiffy get that ladder, knock her off, and get it. That was a great false finish. Maybe the best false finish, one of the best false finishes in the history of the Money in the Bank ladder matches. Because it looked believable, like she's getting it hooked off, and the timing for Tiff to get that ladder and hit her was great. It was great. It was great. Chelsea finally overcoming her fear of heights, and it looked like she was going to win, man. And then boom, there's Tiffy. It's Tiffy time, baby. It's Tiffy time. I'm giving this, if it wouldn't have been for the little bit of a slow start, I might have gave it a solid A. I'm going to go A, maybe even an A+. I'm going to go A- though, just with a little bit of a slow start. And who was it, man? Io, I think, slammed... was it Zoe on from the ladder in the middle of the ring onto the ladders they had set up, and just that was fantastic and very, very scary. Like, cause I was just watching how the ladder was shaking. Just glad everybody was all right on that. And I mean, just a hell of a Chelsea. I would argue, Chelsea Green, runner-up wrestler of the night in a losing effort. She was great, man. She was great. I think people are finally starting. I loved her since she was in TNA doing the crazy bride gimmick. She's been fantastic all the way around her entire career. She's finally getting some shine, even though she lost in this one. What a hell of a table bump! Crowd was wanting tables in the men's matches, don't get it. Finally get some tables in the women's match, and I'm just keeping when's the table spot coming? When's the table spot coming? And it was to end the match, and Chelsea Green executed it absolutely perfectly. Well done. These women stole the show tonight. Match of the night. Absolutely great. Zoe Stark looked good. Like I said, Lyra I didn't think looked too great, but she's still very, very young. She rebounded after a slow start. Naomi did good. I mean, and Io, all these ladies did just a phenomenal job. And how about that backstage? Oh my goodness, with Tiffany Stratton and Trish Stratus. Oh yeah, that's happening. SummerSlam, mark it down. Even in the press conference, Tiffany said, yeah, I would love to fight the GOAT. Is she the GOAT? I'm not so sure. You could make that argument, and I could make that argument, and I could also argue against it, but she is definitely one of them. Yeah, sign me up for that match. I think within this next week, maybe even before Raw tomorrow, I'm going to do my early SummerSlam match predictions. I don't like to look up anybody else. I'm going to do my own. Do my own thing, my own thoughts on all of this. Bloodline main event versus Cody Rhodes, Randy Orton, and Kevin Owens. It was good, but it was not great. Felt like par for the course from what we see with the Bloodline. Solo Sikoa pinning Cody Rhodes does set up them two at SummerSlam. Jacob Fatu, number 3, he shined tonight as well. I think if people, hadn't been real high on this Bloodline before and kind of like, okay, well, who's this guy coming in? Hopefully he's going to be better than the other two. And then maybe they were kind of like, I don't know about him. Well, you should know about him after this match. He looked freaking mean, dude. And I don't remember what move it was. I think it was Orton. Orton hit him with vintage Orton with the DDT off the ropes. And then Orton turns around to coil up and strike. And then and there's Jacob Fatu no-selling it. Oh my goodness, like pumping up. And Randy Orton, I thought the look on his face was pretty good. Thought it could have been a little bit better, but it was pretty solid. He was like, oh, okay. Wow, all right. And that was a great spot. There was a lot of good spots in this match, but I don't know, ref bump. The ref bump wasn't good. The first one wasn't good, and then he's out, and then the ref's outside standing up. Like, okay, if you're standing up, like, you should at least have some sort of semblance of what's going on right now. But he didn't, because he was just standing up, so I guess he could set up for the next bump. They had to bump him twice. At least they bumped him twice to make it a little more believable. And then they hit the finisher, and then Bloodline has to throw him back into the ring, and then he could have been a little bit more dazed and had a little bit of slower 3 count. It was kind of slow, but I'm involved with the indie promotion, or we did a ref bump, and our ref did a better job than that ref did on selling the slow 3 count after being injured. It was okay, but it wasn't great. And I don't know. I think Jacob Fatu shines. I think Solo looked good out of this. How about Kevin Owens? That was my pop of the night. Pop of the night. After Kevin Owens was standing there before the match as long as he did. And then, I don't know, it was something simple. I think it was just some punches. Like, once he finally got involved and started punching some guys, that crowd just lit up and erupted. Probably the loudest I've had heard him all night, maybe besides hearing John Cena. So, KO looks strong. Everybody looks strong, man. Everybody looks strong. Give that final match a B. And overall, Money in the Bank, I don't know. I really enjoyed it. I don't know if I can give... I hate to say it, but I think with the shoulder not getting up and I didn't really care for the way they booked Drew cashing in and losing. Like, that would have been done a little bit better. Maybe they did what I would have said and let somebody else win Money in the Bank. Maybe I would have given it an A-, but I'm going to give it a B+. I'm going to give Money in the Bank a B+. Yeah, match of the night. Definitely the women's match. I would say, boy, that's tough. That's tough. I guess I'd probably say the men's match second, just because I really love this event. I love the Money in the Bank ladder matches. I'm gonna go with it second. Third favorite match, I don't know, probably that Intercontinental match. Then I'll go fourth, the Bloodline, and then fifth would be the World Heavyweight Championship matchup. So, yeah. That's about it. That'll about do it, guys. If you like what you see, appreciate you. And give me a thumbs up, like, follow, subscribe. Get this baby to 100 before too long. Like, that would be really cool. If you guys could help me get there, man. If you love professional wrestling as much as I do, please give me a sub. God bless. We'll see you next time. Yeah!